So break out the Crown Royal, for it is Crown Jewel time. WWE Crown Jewel coming to you from Saudi Arabia this Saturday night. I'm Wrestling Old Head, and this is the portal of pro wrestling. We're here to talk about predictions and spoilers for where we think the WWE is going to go with Crown Jewel. They just announced a blockbuster six-man tag team match that I had seen rumors about on all the Reddits and some of the other forums and stuff, and I wasn't sure if they were going to go through with it, and it looks like it has been made official, so we're going to get into that later and the implications of that match and just the way that this show is going to shape out and what may be on the other side of this leading into Survivor Series. So without further ado, let's get to the show and break it on down like a shotgun. So for the women's tag team championships, Bianca Belair and Jade Cargill will defend against Chelsea Green and Piper Niven, Metaphor, which is Lash Legend and Jakara Jackson, and Damage Control, which is Io Sky and Kairi Sane. Io Sky, Kairi Sane, and to a certain degree, Chelsea Green and Piper Niven have been swimming around the women's tag team division for quite some time. Io Sky and Kairi Sane are very familiar with Jade Cargill and Bianca Belair. In fact, the last time I believe Bianca Belair, Jade Cargill, Kairi Sane, and Io Sky were in the ring at the same time in tag team action, Kairi Sane almost lost her eye in a really, really bad spot that gave her a cut above the eye. So it's very interesting how those four women have kind of been in some competitive matchups. I wouldn't even call it a feud necessarily. There seems to be some mutual respect there. It doesn't seem like they've crossed the lines and gotten personal as far as storyline goes. But definitely they're vying for the tag team championships and have been for a while. You just add in Lash Legend and Jakara Jackson, the Metaphor tag team from NXT, and Piper Niven and Chelsea Green, and now you've got a who's who of the tag team division for the women's division, and it looks to me that I don't see any championships changing hands in this match. I believe Jade Cargill and Bianca Belair are going to retain. Maybe somebody new on the horizon, maybe a Liv Morgan and a Raquel Rodriguez, which would be an interesting scenario there. Maybe another tag team from NXT shows up at a later time, maybe at Raw or moving on towards SmackDown. I'm not sure, but I'm going to go with Bianca Belair and Jade Cargill in this. I don't think that the WWE has given us any reason at this current time to expect Bianca Belair and Jade Cargill's title reign to be this short. So I'm going to go with Bianca Belair and Jade Cargill. For the United States Championship in a triple threat match, or as I like to call it, a three-way dance. Three men in the same ring at the same time, vying for the United States Championship. Andrade and Carmelo Hayes challenge LA Knight. Yeah, LA Knight is interesting because he interfered, got involved in the Game 7 matchup between Andrade and Carmelo Hayes. Andrade and Carmelo Hayes have been at a heated race to find out who's better and who is more worthy of the United States Championship. And things have gotten personal. They seem to not be able to be professional and just wait for the ring. There's been a lot of backstage brawling that's been going on, a lot of trash talking from both sides, and LA Knight seems to have interjected himself into the middle of this. The thing with LA Knight interjecting himself in the middle of this is maybe there's an attitude change on the horizon for LA Knight. No. Maybe instead of yeah, he's going to be saying no, and maybe we might see a more like a different side of LA Knight, a more heel side of LA Knight, shoes of a champion. That type of LA Knight, if you know, you know. Maybe we're going to see a change up there. And LA Knight peaked winning the United States Championship at SummerSlam, and I believe he got what was due to him. He got his moment in a big event, and now it might be time for him to kind of switch it up a little bit and get a more darker edge. I think in SmackDown's case, having LA Knight go a darker route and in go into heel territory, which would be interesting because I don't know how many fans would actually accept that. but that's for another time. It just depends on what type of road he goes down and how nasty he gets. It could be interesting for him, because then he could be a good challenge for someone like a Cody Rhodes. He could be a good challenge for maybe even if he went to Raw, or even if he stayed on SmackDown and wrestled Roman Reigns, giving Roman Reigns crap and saying that you're the same old Roman Reigns. There's a lot that they could do if they want to go that route and transition LA Knight into that heel role. I've always been a big fan of Eli Drake. The dummy button was one of my favorites in TNA. The dummy, yeah, I always love that. I was a big fan of that. Always got a pop out of me. So to see him go as far as that character in Eli Drake and bring that over and have that a part of LA Knight, I'm all for that. I think it could be huge, and I think it's a way to introduce the real Sean Ricker or Eli Drake, the real LA Knight, into that fold, and I'm all for that. And if that's what we're seeing, then I'm a big fan of that, and I'd like to see more of that. I know that's not a popular decision, because I don't think that a lot of people want to see Sean Ricker, aka LA Knight, go that route, because he's so beloved with the fans, but I think it is time to freshen up the character a little bit. I don't know where else you can go with that. If you followed my channel and you've been watching me for a while, you know that I am a proponent of switching up characters and even going the heel route, even when it's not necessary. But that's just that's what I see sometimes, and I'm intrigued by that. And I think that you get more mileage out of a character if they're able to turn and switch and change their mode a little bit and go into a darker side. And I think that freshens them up to being even more over once they go back to being a face. But like I said, I came from the Attitude Era. Guys were going heel face every other 3 months or something like that. Every quarter they were changing their position. So maybe there's a little bit of that that's left over. As far as who I think is going to win in this match, it would be nice to see a title change. I'm not going to lie to you. I don't know if they're going to do it at Crown Jewel. I don't know if they're waiting for another big event. But I mean, if there's anything that I would like to see, it would be for Carmelo Hayes to get a win here. I would like to see him with the United States Championship. I think it would do a great deal for his character. He's a trash-talking type of an individual. I think it would propel him up the card, which he has earned at this juncture. And ever since he showed up on SmackDown and challenged Cody Rhodes, there has been an aura about him, and I'd like to see that reach its height, and then have a feud with Andrade that's already there. They put on great matches. They seem to have great chemistry, and I think there could be a lot with that. And then that can also kind of give LA Knight that chance to show us a more meaner side of him. I don't know. Either way, I'm gonna go with Carmelo Hayes to win this match. We'll see what happens. LA Knight's been the United States champion. He has been a fighting champion. I think it is time to move it on. So I'm going to go with Carmelo Hayes. This is going to be my dark horse pick of the predictions. I'm not going to go with what everybody is going to expect with LA Knight retaining here, which I'm sure he will retain, but I'd like to see Carmelo Hayes get his opportunity, so I'm going to go with Carmelo Hayes. Kevin Owens will brawl with Randy Orton most assuredly. Kevin Owens and Randy Orton in a match at Saudi Arabia's Crown Jewel. This match was originally not supposed to happen. Randy Orton brought Triple H out and basically begged for this match, and now Triple H is going to give him what he wants, but he gave him a warning that there could be some repercussions. And I feel because of that this was kind of a foreshadowing, if you will. This was them letting you know that something may indeed happen. They're giving you the opportunity to feel the tension of what Kevin Owens may be capable of doing when he gets in the ring with somebody like Randy Orton, who has previous issues with his neck and his shoulders and his back and all of these things, and Kevin Owens could be the opportunist and go for those things. And we have been seeing a more meaner Kevin Owens. But see, there's the thing, I feel like there's a misunderstanding about Kevin Owens here. Like, Kevin Owens has been trying not to let that side of him out. Something happened backstage at Bad Blood to bring that side of him out, and I've done a video that's going to be out soon about Cody Rhodes and about his whole American Nightmare attitude and character, and I don't want to give too much of that video away because it's not out yet, but I would like to say that Kevin Owens, I think, is a little misunderstood here, and I think that's a part of the character trajectory. I think that's where they're going. They've been very cryptic. I think they're kind of foreshadowing this change here, and I like it a lot. And I think there's the details here. The devil's in the details. I just don't see that Kevin Owens is what they're saying he is, and he's even saying that they've kind of silenced him and pushed him out of the the buildings and stuff, and people have been done way worse and they haven't been pushed out. So I think there's something to that I think we're missing out here. And I think one of the things that Kevin Owens is going to try to do is to get Randy Orton to see that, but also to bring out the Viper, which we have not seen since his return. What we have seen is basically Bruce Banner. We have not seen the Incredible Hulk in Randy Orton. And I think that it's been waiting to come out. It's been stored and it's been laid dormant for way too long. And I think that because of his stature and how big he is, when that Viper, when that killer is let loose in Randy Orton, it's going to be huge, right? And that's what the crowd is going to be waiting for, and I think that we might see a little bit of that in this matchup. I do think that for the purpose of building this storyline, I think Kevin Owens is going to get the win. I expect him to do something a little drastic and crazy leading in to the main event at the Crown Jewel, which I will get into once we get there. But for now, I'm going to go with Kevin Owens to win this one, and it's going to probably be based on some kind of injury or something, some brutality from Kevin Owens, if you will. Speaking of brutality, big Bronson Reed is going to go against Seth Rollins. Now, for several weeks, there have been vicious attacks, and it was clear that Rollins would be looking to get his payback upon his return after he was taken out with like 6 or 7 tsunamis from Bronson Reed. Now we have been seeing that these two can't get their hands off of each other. They've been brawling backstage, and there's been a lot of chaos that they've been unable to fully contain within the WWE Raw officials. They have not been able to fully keep these two guys apart, and when they get in the ring, I don't know if they're necessarily going to be able to control them in the confines of an officiated match. So for people thinking that this is going to be a one-off, Seth Rollins wins, moves on to another guy like a CM Punk or something like that, I do not believe that that is what you're going to see. I believe that this match is the catalyst to get us to Survivor Series, where they have a second match. So I do expect some kind of nefarious activity going on here, maybe a double disqualification, double count out. Something is going to happen where that leads into Survivor Series, where they do something like a last man standing match or an ambulance match or a stretcher match. Something along those lines is going to give us Survivor Series between Rollins and Reed. I don't know if they're going to end it just now at Crown Jewel. Now, I'm not saying that they won't have a decisive winner in this match, but I believe that it's going to lead to something else on the other side. Now, you just saw this past Monday on Raw that Seth Rollins was a part of a backstage brawl with Bronson Reed, and they had given an update with the commentators, and they had let us know that Rollins was taken to the hospital for checkups, and they're not sure the severity of that. So they're already giving us an out for Seth Rollins to let you know that he's not going to be 100% going into Saturday in Saudi Arabia. So because of that, I'm going to go, as far as like picking a decisive winner here, I'm going to go with Bronson Reed. However, I think it's going to be based on a referee decision, based on a count out, based on a disqualification, somewhere along those lines. And then we're going to get to Survivor Series where Seth Rollins actually exacts his revenge, gets his revenge, and they can move Bronson Reed on to another monster or another battle altogether. And Seth Rollins can then move on to go after CM Punk or even Drew McIntyre or wherever they decide to go with that. So my prediction on this is Bronson Reed by some kind of a disqualification or some official ruling. This match just being announced this past Tuesday is Roman Reigns and the Usos. The story of the Bloodline dominating WWE program will continue. This saga, this next chapter will continue with the newly reunited Usos team teaming with Roman Reigns to take on Solo Sikoa, Tama Tonga, and Tonga Loa. Now, I don't know if they're going to add Jacob Fatu to this and remove Tonga Loa. I think that's the move to go. I would love to see Jacob Fatu, Tama Tonga, and Solo Sikoa against the Usos and Roman Reigns, especially after Jacob Fatu and Jey Uso's confrontation a couple of weeks back on SmackDown. I thought that was really, really intriguing, if you will, to see those two in the same ring, and what Jey Uso was saying about them, also kind of giving us a little backstory on the Rogue Bloodline and why Jacob Fatu and Tama Tonga and Tonga Loa were not really around the Bloodline back when the Bloodline was in its prominence when Roman Reigns was running things. So it was very interesting, to say the least. I feel that this is very interesting that they're doing this match going into War Games at Survivor Series, where we will obviously see the OG Bloodline against the Rogue Bloodline of some sorts. Now, considering that we are in Saudi Arabia, we also have to not count out The Rock showing up as well. This is Saudi Arabia after all. This is an opportunity for The Rock to make an appearance in Saudi Arabia. Why not? This is an opportunity here. Now, for weeks, I've been saying that The Rock being a part of War Games is definitely a possibility. Now, the things that are stopping me from believing that The Rock is officially going to be in this capacity, a War Games steel cage match, which really, really is a brutal type of environment, is the fact that The Rock is probably trying to get to WrestleMania, and this could potentially cause a setback for him to be featured at WrestleMania if he were in this type of match in Survivor Series. But then I also look at this environment. He's going to be in there with some guys he's very familiar with inside the steel cage, War Games. They can hide some of his they can hide certain things, and it doesn't have to be as brutal on they don't have to be as brutal on The Rock, and they can probably get away with not causing too much of a situation where he could potentially get hurt, is what I'm saying. So it's always a possibility that The Rock could be checking off War Games from his career as being one of the first times we've ever seen The Rock in that type of environment. I think it would be really, really great, but I don't know if they're going to go with that. So I'm saying don't rule out the fact that The Rock's going to show up. If Jacob Fatu is not a part of this six-man tag, definitely expect him to get involved. And I think this is also where we see Sami Zayn pick a side, do a run-in, and help his brothers, the Usos and Roman Reigns, to show his allegiance, to show the OG Bloodline that he is their dog, that he is there for them. I think that when we saw him backstage talking to Solo Sikoa, I think this is going to be the opportunity to cause tension within this six-man tag where Sami Zayn comes out and they don't know what side he's on. That's right, he's going to be the Hulk Hogan. Whose side is he on? And I think when it comes down to it, Sami Zayn is going to help the OG Bloodline, and I think the OG Bloodline's going to get the win. Now, mind you, I've been picking the Rogue Bloodline for every match leading up to this match, and they've let me down. So it's more likely that we would see the Rogue Bloodline get the win here going into Survivor Series at War Games based on interference from Jacob Fatu, and that allows Sami Zayn to come in and make the save. But for shits and giggles, I'm going to go with Roman Reigns and Usos, and I'm pretty sure I'm going to be wrong about that, but we'll see what happens. In a women's Crown Jewel Championship match, Nia Jax goes against Liv Morgan. Now, Nia Jax and Liv Morgan are getting a break from long-running rivalries in their respective brands, with Bayley going against Nia Jax and Rhea Ripley going against Liv Morgan. Now they're doing a kind of a Saudi Arabia special here, a Saudi Arabia exclusive, where they have a Crown Jewel Championship for the women's and a Crown Jewel Championship for the men's. And this match between Nia Jax and Liv Morgan, the winner will become the Crown Jewel champion. And they've done a brand versus brand type of thing, a battle for brands. Now, looming over all of this is Tiffany Stratton, who still has the money and the bank. I don't know if she can do this, but I was wondering if she could cash in on both Liv Morgan and Nia Jax. Or what if she cashes in and we don't know who she's cashing it in on, and she pins Liv Morgan? There are a lot of possibilities going into this match, a lot of intrigue, especially with Tiffany Stratton having the briefcase. I personally feel that it comes down to Tiffany Stratton either making a mistake on behalf of Nia Jax or to the detriment of Nia Jax. And in my heart of hearts, man, I'm really going with Nia Jax losing this match and Liv Morgan winning the Crown Jewel Championship. I don't know if they're going to go with, because this is very similar to the King and the Queen of the Ring, okay? Very similar. Nia Jax won the Queen of the Ring and Gunther won the King of the Ring. I'm wondering if they're going to run that same playbook or if they're going to flip things over. So because of that, I'm going to go with Liv Morgan. She has Raquel Rodriguez. She has Dominic Mysterio. Bayley and Rhea Ripley could come into play in this match, and Tiffany Stratton can also come into play in this match. I'm wondering if what's going to happen is some kind of a mix-up with Tiffany Stratton that gives Liv Morgan the win. So I'm going to go with Liv Morgan in this scenario, and it's really interesting because I really don't know for sure. I'm probably about 70-30 on this. Maybe 49-50. I don't know. I'm really close on guessing this. But I'm definitely 70-30 on Tiffany Stratton interfering, but I just don't know which way it's going to go as far as who's going to win. So I'm going to go with Liv Morgan on that. Now for the Crown Jewel Championship, Cody Rhodes wrestles Gunther. Now expectations are that Cody Rhodes and Gunther will headline Crown Jewel, so that's why I saved this for the end here. Most notably, Gunther and Cody Rhodes have been going back and forth on the microphone, and I think it's going to come down to basic go-home math with this match. I feel that Kevin Owens looming around in Saudi Arabia is going to cost Cody Rhodes the match, and Gunther's going to win. And I think Gunther wins this just like he won the King of the Ring in controversial fashion. Seems to kind of be the running playbook. It's going to further his championship reign, his bragging rights, if you will. Wins over Randy Orton, wins over Cody Rhodes, wins over Sami Zayn. I think he's going to run the gamut. I think he's going to be one of the most unstoppable, most decorated champions in WWE history, and I think they're setting up for that. I think they're going to give him wins over Brock Lesnar, over Goldberg, over John Cena even. I think we're going to see him go on a historic run, and I think this is no different. And I do believe this is the start of getting Cody Rhodes to Kevin Owens, probably for Survivor Series or even further on. I don't know if Cody Rhodes is even going to avoid Kevin Owens, and then eventually he's going to have no choice. And I think this is maybe like Kevin Owens' chance to goad Cody Rhodes into going after him and getting physical. We'll see what happens, but I'm going to go with Gunther to win this one for his bragging rights and to ultimately continue his shit talking as being one of the best in the business. So I'm going to go with Gunther with that. So there you have it. That's my predictions. Crown Jewel's coming up this Saturday. Pretty loaded card on paper. This is actually one of the bigger cards that we've seen this year, but WWE has been doing that. They've been keeping the card matches low, and they've been stacking them, man. Every match has a story. Every match has some interest. Not all of them are knocking it out of the park. Obviously, we've seen a couple that were like, they shit the bed a little bit, but they definitely look good on paper. So I can't deny that this looks like a blockbuster card from top to bottom, especially with Roman and the Usos going against the Rogue Bloodline, Cody going against Gunther. I mean, that's right there is worth the price of admission, and you can't deny that The Rock is more than likely going to be looming around Saudi Arabia. I mean, why wouldn't he, right? Why wouldn't he? So keep all of that in mind. You guys in the comments, let me know what you think, if those predictions line up with your predictions, or if you think these are just really bad predictions and I'm full of shit. Let me know that too. I'm all good with that. But definitely leave a comment below letting me know what your predictions are. Look forward to seeing WWE Crown Jewel Saturday. And as always, stay tuned for more.